Deer are constantly communicating. Every posture, ear position, and tail movement is a word in a language almost no one has been taught to read. You're watching a deer in your yard, and it suddenly stamps its front hoof against the ground. Sharp, deliberate, unmistakable. Or it flicks its tail in an unusual pattern you've never quite classified. Or it begins moving in a stiff, high-stepping mechanical gait that looks completely different from its normal walk. You have no idea what any of it means. You make a guess. Maybe it's just stretching. Maybe it heard something, and you go back to what you were doing. But the deer was telling you something specific. Something with precise meaning in a communication system that has been refined over millions of years. Today we're going to decode that system completely. The ears are the most expressive, continuously active, and easiest to read part of a deer's communication system. Most people notice the ears only in extreme states. The fully pinned alarm position or the relaxed drooping of a calm animal. But there's an entire vocabulary of intermediate positions that tell you exactly what the deer is processing moment to moment. Forward-facing ears, both pointed directly ahead, mean active and curious attention. The deer has registered something new or interesting in the environment and is allocating focused sensory resources toward it. This is not yet a threat response. It's more like the posture of someone who just heard their name called across a room, alert but not alarmed. Ears rotated sideways, one pointing generally forward, one sweeping toward the rear, means the deer is monitoring two independent directions simultaneously. This is a neutral, resting, vigilant state. The deer is not focused on any single concern, but is maintaining broad environmental awareness. It's the baseline state of a deer that feels relatively safe, but hasn't fully committed to relaxation. Ears flattened against the back of the skull is an aggression or dominance signal. It's the same posture a dominant buck uses when approaching a subordinate during the rut. Does use it when disciplining or warning fawns. If you see this posture, the deer is in an active social dominance dynamic with another deer nearby, and you're witnessing inter-deer communication rather than environmental assessment. Ears rigid and upright, both oriented precisely toward a specific point in space, means a potential threat has been localized and pinpointed. The deer knows where the sound or scent is coming from and is now running a full assessment. This is the precursor state to either the stamp, the blow, or flight. The ear-forward flared nostril combination, both ears oriented toward you with nostrils actively sampling the air, is the identity check posture. The deer is trying to confirm what it's sensing before making a decision. If you've been regularly visiting this deer, this posture is followed by recognition and relaxation. If you're unfamiliar to this animal, this posture is the last assessment before it decides whether to stay or go. The white-tailed deer's tail is its most famous communication structure and the source of the animal's common name. But most people's knowledge of tail language extends only to the full white flag alarm display, which means they're missing 80% of the conversation. A completely relaxed, hanging tail, fully down, not moving, means the deer is at ease. No active threat is registered. This is the body language of a deer that has concluded its assessment and found nothing worth monitoring. In a feeding deer, a hanging tail combined with a lowered head indicates maximum comfort at that moment. A slow, gentle side-to-side tail wag, almost like a lazy fan, is a mild irritation or low-level annoyance signal. It's most commonly seen when insects are bothering the deer, or when something slightly unusual is present in the environment but hasn't risen to the level of a genuine concern. Think of it as a minor flag, something worth noting but not acting on yet. A stiff, horizontal tail raise, the tail lifted to roughly horizontal, held there without the full wide display, is the early warning position. The deer has registered something that warrants active monitoring. This is the signal to stop all your movement immediately. If you're outside, freeze. If you're at a window, go still. Any additional stimulus at this point can push the animal from monitoring to flight. Full vertical tail raise with the white underside fully displayed, the classic flagging behavior, means flight has been committed to. The deer is leaving or is in the final moment before departure. The white flag serves two functions simultaneously. It signals the alarm to other deer in the vicinity, and it provides a visible moving target for fawns to follow through cover during flight. Once you see the flag, the visit is over. Your only job is to stay still and learn what triggered it. Beyond ears and tail, the full body provides a complete narrative of what the deer is experiencing and communicating to other deer around it. The head low, neck extended horizontal posture, chin parallel to the ground, neck stretched forward, is a dominance display. In bucks, it's typically accompanied by a stiff-legged walk and is directed at rival males during the rut. In does, a similar posture is used to drive other deer, particularly subordinate does or yearlings, away from a feeding area. If you see this posture in your yard, there is a social hierarchy conflict playing out and you are witnessing deer politics. The stiff-legged, high-stepping walk, sometimes called pogo sticking, is an alarm broadcast. When a deer moves in this rigid, almost mechanical gait rather than its fluid normal walk, it's sending a physical signal to every other deer in visual range. Potential threat detected, be alert. The bouncing, stiff movement makes the deer highly visible and communicates alarm status through visual body language rather than sound. The hoof stomp, a deliberate, forceful striking of one front foot against the ground, is a demand for more information. The deer has detected something. Possibly you, possibly an animal in cover, possibly an ambiguous shape, and cannot classify it. The stomp is designed to trigger movement from whatever is hiding or holding still, so the deer can reclassify it. If a deer stomps at you specifically, it has not yet decided you are a threat. It wants you to move. Your best response is to hold perfectly still. Prolonged stillness often leads the deer to reclassify you as non-threatening and resume normal behavior. The blow, that sharp, explosive snort exhalation, is the vocal alarm call and carries nuanced information. A single slow blow means the deer is alerting to something uncertain. It's broadcasting a question mark to the social group. A rapid series of forceful blows means confirmed threat, active alarm, and departure imminent. After multiple blows, every deer in the area has been notified. Now let's put the entire language together and read a real interaction. A deer enters your yard. Ears forward, curious attention, not alarmed. Tail hanging, relaxed baseline. It approaches the feeder and begins eating. Head low, tail down, maximum feeding focus, no active threat processing. You're watching from inside. After a few minutes, the deer raises its head sharply. One ear sweeps toward the side of the yard. The other stays forward toward the feeder. It's detected something in the peripheral zone and is splitting monitoring resources. You hold still. The deer sniffs toward the side yard, ears both rotating forward now. Active assessment. It isn't looking at you. Something else has its attention. 30 seconds pass. The deer lowers its head and resumes feeding. Tail hangs down. Both ears rotate to neutral sideways position. Monitoring continues but the assessment resolved. Whatever it heard has been classified as non-threatening. Then your chair creaks. The deer's head snaps up. Ears lock rigidly forward, both oriented toward your window. Tail lifts slightly. Early warning position. The deer freezes in a rigid, high muscle tension posture. You hold completely still. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. The tail begins to lower. Partial resolution. One ear relaxes and rotates sideways while the other stays toward the window. The deer has split its monitoring between you and the general environment again. It stays at the feeder but with elevated alertness. You've just participated in a conversation. You responded correctly, staying still, and the deer downgraded its assessment from potential threat to uncertain element. That's a pass! Not a perfect pass, but a pass. You're learning the language in real time. Every single visit from now on is going to look completely different to you. You're not watching a deer eat in your yard anymore. You're reading a live, ongoing conversation about threat, safety, identity, and trust. The ear that rotates a fraction of an inch. The tail that lifts slightly before settling back down. The foot stomp asking a direct question you now know how to respond to. These are words in a language you can now read fluently. And once you understand it, every observation becomes richer and more meaningful. Subscribe and share this video because most people who have watched deer for years have never been shown any of this. And it changes everything. Next video. What the deer in your yard are saying to each other and why understanding their social communication changes what you should do as an observer.